Hello, Lordstown 5th grade students, Mr. Ratell. Today we're going to be going over lesson 12.3. Very similar to lesson 12.1 and 12.2, converting customary units, except for this time around, we're going to be focusing on weight. So tons, pounds, ounces. We're going to keep our very, very important two rules. So rule number one, when going from a large unit to a small unit, we're using multiplication. And rule number two, when going from a small unit to a large unit, we're using division. So we're going to make sure that we're keeping those two very important rules. You'll also find these again on page 498, as well as the conversions that I'm about to show you. I'm also going to show you a little hint when working with tons. You're going to see a lot of problems like this, and hopefully it'll make your math a little bit easier. So when looking, we're going to be converting customary units of weight. So for example, once again, you'll find this on page 498. 1 ton, capital T, equals 2,000 pounds. 1 pound equals 16 ounces. So those are going to be like our most used conversion units for weight. My hint for you is to remember that 500 plus 500 plus 500 plus 500 equals 2,000 pounds. So that's also 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. And when we add that, you get 4/4, which equals 1, which equals 1 full ton. And we got to remember that 2,000 pounds equals 1 ton. So when doing some conversions, having this understanding will make your math go a lot quicker. So make sure if you have your notebook, you have that copied in there. Replay this again if you need. It's also once again on page 498 in your book. So we're going to move that out of the way. In example 1, we have ready to go for us. So I have 4.8 tons, so 4 8/10 tons, and I want to know how many pounds that equals. So once again, we're going from a large unit to a small unit, so that means that we're going to be multiplying. So I know that 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. So that means I take my 4.8 tons times my 2,000 pounds, and that equals 9,600 pounds. All right. So like I said, very similar to the last two units, hopefully not too difficult. We're going to keep example 2 very similar with going from a large to a small unit. Example 2. And this one you're going to see will be very similar to a problem in your lesson. So we have 7 1/10 tons equals how many pounds? So I'm actually going to work through all the steps because some of you are going to be like, oh, well, how do I do the 7 1/10? And that's okay. And it's going to look scary, but it's going to be just canceling out zeros and not very difficult. So we do our same thing. Well, I got to go to tons to pounds. Well, how many pounds are in 1 ton? Well, I know that 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. Okay? So that means I'm going to have to take 7 1/10 times, 7 1/10 times 2,000. Okay? So this is where it can be like, well, I'm not sure how to do this. And that is completely okay, because I'm going to show you right over here. So remember, 7 1/10, I would make this an improper fraction. So the first thing I do is take 7 times 10 plus 1. So 7 times 10 is 70, plus 1 is 71 over 10. And then I'm going to multiply this by 2,000. And we know that to make 2,000 a fraction, we just put it over 1. So then we multiply straight across. Some of us will be able to do this in our head, and some of us won't, and that's okay. For sake of time, I know that if I take 2 times 1, I get 2. If I take 7 times 2, I get 14. and then I can add my 3 zeros behind that. Over, well, I know that 10 times 1 is 10. Well, now we know this looks like a very big improper fraction, but the nice thing is with this, all we have to do is cross out a 0 here. Someone's on their bike outside, sorry. Cross out our 0 here, cross out a 0 here. So our answer is going to be 14,200 pounds. Okay. And I know that went through that quickly. If you want to work that out, or if you would like to see some more examples of this, make sure to let me know, and I'll get another lesson up here and we can do more examples of just this. I'd like to move in now to example number 3. And just like the last 2 lessons, example number 3, we're going to be going from a small unit to a large unit. So that means we're going to be dividing. So for these next 2 examples, we will be using division. So example number 3, we have set up, I have 320 ounces. And I want to know how many pounds does 320 ounces equal. So I know that in 1 pound, we have 16 ounces. So to solve this, I have to take 320, take 320 ounces divided by 16 ounces. And when I do that division, it will look like this. All right, and once again, you can use repeated addition, multiplication to solve that problem any way you would like. And when you solve this, you should end up getting 20 pounds. So when we converted 320 ounces to pounds, it would end up equaling 20 pounds. And we're going to do one more quick example. So example number 4. We're going to stick to our small to our large unit. So example 4, we have 4,500 pounds equals how many tons? And when we, to solve this problem, the hint that I showed you guys earlier is going to come into play here. So looking at this, I know that 2,000 pounds equals 1 ton. So I'm going to be dividing 4,500 divided by 2,000 pounds. So when I set this up, it's going to look something like this. 2,000 into 4,500. However, to make it look easier, we also know that you could set this problem up and it would look like an improper fraction. So 4,500 divided by 2,000. And the reason I'm going to set it up this way and solve it this way is because it's going to look a little easier. I can look at my front number here, and I know how many times does 2 go into 4? Well, that equals 2. So then I look and I'm like, well, what would I have left over? 2,000 plus 2,000 is 4,000. So those cancel out, so I would have 500 left over 2,000. Well, if I look back at my hint, when I have 500 out of 2,000, if I have 500, 500, 500, 500, and I have 1 out of 2,000, I know that that's going to automatically equal 1/4. So my answer would be 2 and 1/4 tons. So if you guys have any questions, be sure to comment below or send me an email. I can add more problems or get another lesson up if needed. Hope you guys have a good one. Bye.